Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, you guys. Definitely make sure that you subscribe if you haven't done so. Also make sure you turn on your post notifications so you don't miss my videos. And let's get the party started. So this one is going to be pretty simple, straight to the point and all that stuff. It did have some good points in there. Shout out to Saxon Heights, who did comment on my last video and said, you first thought that the man who was taking the pictures of Tasha was the person who got the other inmate pregnant. It definitely is possible because we don't know who she been doing while she was in there. So it's somebody. I wonder. It's either that or it could have been like maybe one of the one of the guards or something. But obviously somebody got her pregnant. She been doing somebody up in there. And so Monet and Tyriq, they're officially in business now. So Simon, he had reached out to Simon. Well, he was trying to reach out to Simon to propose like a whole business I wouldn't say opportunity, but a business partnership with him. But when he goes there, he sees some other young dude in there. Come to find out, Simon got married. Simon got married to a man at that. And it's some young man named Sebastian. And this dude, you could already tell he's some gold digging hoe, because dude is, first he was talking about he wanted 5% of the business. Then when he saw business was booming, and Tyriq had to come back to him to get some more, to like ante up some stuff. Then all of a sudden, and now he wanted to do like wire transfers and things like that. All of a sudden he's like, oh, well, the 15%. He's like, we didn't agree to 15%. He was like, well, it sounds like you need me. So yeah, and he's not telling Stern any of this, but he's working with Tyriq. So yeah, it's like this dude is just as bad as Simon, but younger and more gold diggerish. You know what I mean? That's how it seems. That dude done got the come up. I wonder if there's any type of prenup. Cause dude done put a spell on Stern, because oh boy is sitting there real nice and comfy. You know what I'm saying? Like he look like he ain't got no worries in the world. He's obviously running stuff because he got his nice little office and everything. So Monet and Kane, they meet up with those people from the GTG, like that GTG crew or whatever, that group. And, just to kind of let them know they can't be out here just kind of showing everything. They're making things hot. So they got to like really calm down with everything that they're doing, putting stuff on social media. So at first, they seemed like they was a little receptive or whatever. But then one of them, he was like, puta, something like that. I think that's what he said. So you already know they all have Spanish. So it's like, nah, you said the wrong thing right there. She was like, say it again. And then old boy was about to say it again. Kane dead, like, punched the living daylights out of him. And just like, he went in on him. Like, he beat the crap out of him. He beat that man till he was bloody. I don't even know if the dude's still alive. That's how bad. And one of them was trying to like pull out a gun real quick. She was like, you sure you want to do that? She had hers ready and waiting. I'm like, yo, this lady is thug life. Like, she is like next level. I don't know if she is afraid of anything, but if she is, you can't really tell, So following that, Braden and Tyriq, they were setting up shop or whatever, getting ready to sell their drugs on campus. And they did put out some freebies, and this was before he went back to the other guy and got like a higher percentage, because business went so well. He got a whole app together where people could either get tutoring or they can get drugs, and they'd also be able to pay like a certain price. And he was able to get like a lot of people that he know would be like on financial aid, and they really are trying to get money, because obviously you don't have money like that if you're on financial aid. So you trying to get money, and you also trying to stay in the school. So it's a lot of things that he was putting together. Like his mind works so great. Like he got this whole business set up. Like just watching the whole empire be built, I'm like, yo, this is amazing. The only thing is that I don't like the fact that Braden is so, I feel like Brayden is too showy, and he's kind of reckless, and he don't really know about that life and how you're supposed to keep things on the low. Like, he just wants to be all out there, and he's like, I feel like he would be the first to crack if something went wrong, you know? So I feel like he definitely got to watch him, because, yeah, he don't really have that same type of boss mentality that Tyriq has, because obviously he's had everything handed to him. He literally has 2 parts of the school named after him. He's like, he don't need to do this. He's just doing this for the excitement and the thrill of it, you know? So Tyriq, he tells Davis that if he swings at Saxe, he better make sure he don't hit, because, that he does hit, because Saxe, he's trying to come after Saxe and try to get him off the case, but he already knows what type of person Saxe is, and how if you don't get Saxe down, like, he's gonna come harder, you know, and he's gonna start really viewing you as an enemy. We've seen that in several situations, and Saxe is like relentless, you know. That's how he got to where he is, like, just being a little snake, being undercover, and being relentless as well. He's one of those types of people that will do anything to get where he gotta go, you know. And so anyway, Davis was trying to get Saxe recused from the trial, from the whole situation, because he's biased. He's too into this. He was trying to, you know, do several things with James back in the day, and he's heavily involved in the whole thing, you know, and emotionally involved as well. Bianca did come as a witness, because they did hold a little trial to try to see if they'd be able to get Saxe off and to prove a reason why he should not be allowed to be on the case. But when Bianca was coming as kind of like a witness for Davis, it kind of went downhill, because some of the things that she was saying, once she was cross-examined by Saxe, it made her look like she's just as bad as him, you know, and it kind of proves a lot of his point and helped his side out. And unfortunately, it might have given her a bad reputation as well, trying to take him down, because now the judge is like, being that she's an officer of the law, she's definitely going to have to make sure that those transcripts and things that she said that she's done, which her supervisor probably doesn't know, is going to be sent to her supervisor. So, you know, it's like, damn, you know, you try to get this man down, and you know, you've done a lot of crooked things yourself, so you got to be careful when you're trying to throw people into the fire, because they might drag you into the fire as well. Like, you got to be squeaky clean when you're trying to take people down, and she's just not. And she's worked with him on a lot of BS that he's done, because she was so, I'm going to get this person, I'm going to do this, you know. So Monet tells her family that she's going to be working with Tyriq now, and you know, they weren't like, not necessarily, I wouldn't say they were thrilled about it. They were, for the most part, most of them were just like, whatever. But I feel like Kane was the one that was really apprehensive about the whole situation. Like, he just ain't feeling old boy like that. And, you know, that's because Kane is the one that's like kind of running things right now. He's like, I feel like he's second in command, because he's just that powerful. So that's just his type of character. So having some stranger that's not part of the family come in is like, why we gotta have him, you know? Like, we don't really know. But she's like, at the end of the day, yeah, we're a family and we're a team, but everybody has a certain position that they gotta play. And that's what you gotta remember, you know? And at the end of the day, his position is to be like the muscles of the team. Like, this is what you do. You yoke people up. You shake them up, you throw them down, you shoot them up if need be. Like, you're the one that's going to risk everything, you know, for the family. That's what you do, you know. And Drew is more like the negotiator. He's not that tight. So, come to find out, speaking of Drew, she sends Drew upstate or wherever they at to the school. Come to find out, Drew is like a whole nother situation. You know, Drew, he goes to the school initially to see what's up with the business that Tyriq got going, you know, how things is flowing and all that, and just kind of report back. And he gets distracted by some dude in Tyriq's art class. And oh boy ends up like going to the room, getting his freak on, like just having an amazing time. Initially, I thought maybe his mom and them didn't know, like maybe this was like some undercover situation. But it looks like Monet actually knows, because when he did come back eventually to the house and she seen the money and she looked at his bag, she seen that he had a drawing of a guy, which of course, you know, is fresh. So putting one and one together, he wasn't available when she called. Tyriq called him, he missed the calls, had to have the sister go upstate to go and pick up, you know, well, initially it was to pick up the money and stuff like that. So, and give him more products. So it's like, where was you all this time? So now she already knows, like, okay, so she tells him, like, you know, no man out there is going to be like your family. So it seems like she don't want him to find love, be with somebody, and kind of leave the family. It's like she expects them to all be in that house forever or something like that, so that they could work on his family situation. Which to me, you know, if he finds somebody, then let him do what he got to do. At the end of the day, he don't really seem like he's cut out for this. You know, like I feel like he does seem like the type to be in college. That's why he was the one that got sent. Like he seems like the type to want something better. Like I feel like Kane is like where it should end. The daughter, you know, Diana and Drew really need to like just do their own thing and find things that they love. Like I feel like Drew, now we see that his passion is art. He has more to him. And I forgot what Diana said she wanted to do, but she wanted to go to school, I think for track or whatever she said. You know, they have dreams, aspirations, and it's like she just sees them just running this business, which is messed up because she's holding them back from being great. You know, I guess in her mind, it's like, we got all the money we need right here. Like you don't need to do anything better. You don't need to go out there and get more money, because you're getting the money that you need right here. You got enough. Like what you need a degree for, you know? Like that's how I kind of feel like she looks at life. So yeah, that's how that situation turns out. Turns out also that Sax, he has a niece that she's just like real punk rock, like weed smoking, like just like one of them types of chicks, like just down for whatever, you know? And she gets picked up trying to get weed from some dudes in Central Park. So yeah, but he ends up using that to his advantage, because he ends up having his niece go to like one of Tyriq's school parties to kind of see what was going down. I guess she's gonna use him to, no, yeah, he's gonna use her to get closer to Tyriq and find out what kind of stuff he's doing to get money and all that, because obviously he kind of got to stay away from Tyriq because Tyriq is still a minor. But yeah, he ends up, like at that same party, he says, don't talk to Tyriq. She ends up talking to Tyriq, saying, oh, you seem like you have some negative energy. He's like, he just walked away from her like, dude, that ain't no compliment. You said somebody got negative energy. Like, I would dead look at you like, are you stupid? Like, you just pretty much said like I'm some demon or something. That's what you're trying to say. And then she gonna ask Brayden like, oh, does your friend in the Jersey always act like a dick? Like, a dick? Seriously? But he seemed to be feeling her, whatever. So that's the thing that I feel like is gonna get a little, because he's probably gonna let her in. You know, let her in, get too close, and then that's how things is going to come crumbling down, you know? So, I don't know. That situation could become definitely pretty bad. At that same party, Tyriq had told, like, one of the dudes, I guess one of the dudes that sells pills or whatever on campus, he had spread the word that Brayden was selling, right? And he could find it from him if he needs anything. So it quickly spread. The dude came, punched Brayden in the face, and ends up, and I'm like, why would Tyriq do that? Come to find out, the reason why he did that, because he knew that the competition would get thrown out once they got into a fight with Brayden, because Brayden, he's a Weston. Like, there are things named after him. You can't come punching a Weston in the face. Are you stupid? Do you want your career to be ended? I mean, oh boy, already looked nasty. You know what I mean? So now I get, and that's the same dude that was in the other situation before, where he was having that stripper girl distract him. So things is, you know, coming together. Now I see why. So yeah, he got suspended. I don't think he got expelled, so he probably be able to come back. But for right now, that means that that territory is going to be pretty much taken over by Brayden now that old boy is out the way. So what happened after that? So Tate, he gets bullied pretty much by, not Sax, but by John and Steven, because they knew that he was going to be a witness for Davis to try to get Sax out of this whole case or whatever. So they end up, he's like, you know, he kept it real with them, like, you know, I feel like this dude was a murderer and I hated him and he was a drug dealer. But they're like, okay, so that's what you're not going to say. This is what you're going to say, and this is why. Because, you know, he has the whole campaign going down, and of course, that goes hand in hand with government stuff. So, yeah, if you want our support and you don't want us to blackmail you and do all these other things to you, then I believe that you should go ahead and do what we say. So, yeah, he pretty much gets bullied into saying that he feels like Tasha did everything and James was not a drug dealer. He just said that at the time because he was his competition, and he's actually a pillar of the community and a great guy rising above a system that was designed for them to fail. And I'm just like, yo, this dude, like, I just love his personality. Like, he's such an asshole, but it's so amusing to me. Like, I just absolutely love it. So even Davis could tell that he was bullshitting, you know what I mean? But he just kind of was, it's nothing you could do once he made his statement. He was like, well, thank you for your support. I truly appreciate it. You know, like, I'm just like, yo, this dude is just hilarious. What happened after that? So, like I was telling y'all about Diana and Tyriq. So when Diana had went up to give Tyriq more supplies, she ends up like being in his room and kissing him. So I'm like, okay, here it goes, you know? So that's one girl he's already feeling. And then Lauren, she's also feeling him because Lauren, she ends up having something at her house because she's trying to do, damn, I forgot what it is, but she's trying to go up. I kind of feel like they said that Tyriq was going to be maybe her competition, because they're both trying to see if they could get out of school early, and they're both going for this certain thing or whatever, so that they'll be able to do that. I'm not sure if they said there was only one position available or not, but yeah. So she invites Professor Reynolds and Professor or Jabari, and he tells her to invite Carrie. I don't know, for him, when she initially was asking him to dinner, it seemed like he was getting excited. Like he was thinking perhaps she would want to go a little further. But then when she said at my house with my parents, then he's like, oh, okay, perhaps you should invite Professor Carrie and also another student. All of a sudden you see Tyriq talking about, I'll go. Like, dude, nobody asked you, but okay, I guess. So yeah, it was like when they went to the house and everything. First of all, Tyriq came late. That was number one. And he didn't have anything to bring with him. He came with an empty hand, which in those types of places, they like you to bring like a bottle of something or flowers or something. You know, it's just the right thing to do, I suppose. Because I see them doing it in a lot of like the housewives of whatever. A lot of times when they come over to these little parties or festivities, they tend to bring, you know, some cheese or a basket of something or some wine or something, you know. So I guess it's just the right thing to do. So anyway, when he comes over empty-handed, you know, she wasn't really feeling that. They all sitting at the table, and the parents, you could tell that they were really bougie by the things that they were saying. Of course, they had to bring up the fact that his mom's in jail, you know. But the real spotlight to that situation was the fact that Jabari and Carrie were acting like two idiots. Like they were just throwing each other and putting little jabs, and it's like you could just kind of pick up the vibe that they were like scorned lovers or something. It was just like stupid. So Lauren ends up taking Tyriq to her room, and yeah, this is another one. She's like, oh, something about secrets, and then they end up kissing. She's like, I could show you. Listen, smoochy smoochy. So I'm like, Choices, my dear. But the odd thing about it is that, you know, just when they were getting into it, it could have possibly gone further, because it seemed like no one cared at that moment. Who comes to the door? None other than her infamous boyfriend. I forgot what they said his name is. And he's like, oh, you know, when he sees Tyriq, he's like, oh, this is Jamal, right? The one that you've been tutoring. She's like, no, this isn't Jamal. And just kind of distracts him by saying, okay, let's go over here. And it was like, okay, you didn't say who he was. I mean, I'm the kind of person, I'm a little crazy. If that was me rolling up into my boo thing's house and I see you coming from some room with some strange dude, okay, so who exactly is that? You know, we gonna have to talk a little bit more. You know, but this dude seems like he's the prize. He seems like he's the one that the family wants her to like marry into because he's doing such great things with his life. But it's a long distance relationship. She doesn't seem as into him. It's more so, I'll do this because my dad loves him and my mom loves him type of thing, and he's the right direction to go in. So we'll definitely see how that situation kind of plays out or whatever. But yeah, Carrie and Jabari, I mean, it's just crazy. I guess the fact that Carrie was jealous that she feels that Jabari wants to have sex with Lauren as well, and she heard him having sex with his grad student the other day. She's just they're just like so into each other. I'm like, why don't y'all just get back together if that's the case, you know? It's kind of like one of those, I guess they're toxic for each other, but they just have so much of a chemical romance for each other as well. It's like that lust is like, it's just like fire, you know? They can't get away from each other. So when they ended up going back to the school, I'm like, do these people have apartments? Because all you see is them having sex in the school all the time. Like, is that the exciting spot? Like, because you could possibly get caught. So it's like, let's do it in here all the time. I'm like, what happened to taking it back to the house? You know, I guess because they go to the school, in Carrie's mind, like her coach or whatever had told her sex sponsor had told her, addiction sponsor had told her, like, you know, always have the door open, which that wasn't the case. But, you know, things like that. Maybe going back to the school is with the intentions of not doing anything, but it's like it all goes to shits as soon as they know that they're alone, you know? It seems as though they could both possibly have a sex addiction to me, you know? I think, was that pretty much it? Oh, we did find out also that Davis and Paula have like this little... I had a feeling that Davis and Paula was doing it, but I wasn't really too sure. Because, you know, sometimes people could just... It could be a male and a female in, you know, working together and not do anything at all. But when they're both attractive, and I feel like he takes a lot of what she, even though he doesn't really follow what she says, like I feel like she's comfortable bringing a lot to him, you know, bringing a lot of ideas, but he doesn't really listen to her. You know, he might take it into consideration a little bit, or kind of take a little bit and kind of put his own spin on it. But yeah, as we saw, you know, I feel like she has a type of contract where it's like, even though she knows she has to have sex on camera, just kind of talking about reality for real, you know, I don't know if you guys noticed, but every time it was a moment where you could possibly see her breasts, she had them covered. Like either he covered them or she covered them, which, I mean, it's perfectly fine. At least it was really realistic, and it still showed his ass. So I was like, okay, go ahead, Mr. Show me what you're working with. You know, he got a nice body too. I was like, okay. But yeah, I did notice that. But that was just like a side note for me, just kind of being really observant. I feel like Mary J pretty much did the same thing. I don't think we'll probably ever see like too much of her. But I don't know. That could change. I mean, maybe if he pays her enough. But yeah, and also another thing behind that, he has a double life, because we saw that he had a ring on that she had, that was on a table, and she said, oh, you should put this back on. I think, you know, something was going on if I didn't see you come back home with this on, or something along those lines. She said, of course I'm paraphrasing, but that's the gist of it. So yeah, he's married and he's cheating on his wife with his coworker, his assistant or whatever, you know? So yeah, everybody's got it. It was a whole ton of secrets in this one here, man. So yeah, I'm excited to see what you guys have to say. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you guys on the next one. Laters. Don't forget to comment.